You're not living your life. You're living the version of it that an algorithm has optimized for engagement. And here's the twist. Most people call that freedom. This isn't a class about tech. This is about psychological warfare disguised as convenience. It's about how invisible systems hijack your desires, rewrite your attention, and slowly turn your identity into a pattern. The collective denial is subtle. I use my feed consciously. But the algorithm doesn't need your awareness, it just needs your time. It doesn't care about your intention. It thrives on your reaction. It doesn't offer information. It offers emotional conditioning. And the more entertained you are, the more manipulated you become. It sculpts your inner world without ever asking permission. Now picture this, a feed that scrolls forever. Every post marked not with likes but with your unhealed wounds. Abandonment, insecurity, pride, shame, desire. You think you're just watching content, but you're really watching a reflection of your fragmented self, refined by data. This isn't entertainment. It's psychic engineering. What Shoshana Zuboff called surveillance capitalism, I call soul colonization. Why now? Because you already feel it. That your focus is slipping. That your attention feels hollow. That your desires aren't fully yours. That anxiety is rising in sync with the pace of your notifications. It took me years to see what was silently stealing me. Now I return with a map, not to protect you, but to help you reclaim yourself. You weren't made to be predictable, but today, every move you make was already forecasted. Before the algorithm, there was already a system teaching you to obey. School taught you to raise your hand at the right time. Society trained you to smile for approval and stay quiet to belong. Your mind was shaped through repetition, not revelation. The algorithm didn't create your patterns, it digitized them, then refined them until you called them personality. Daniel Kahneman showed us how the brain takes shortcuts to avoid mental strain. The algorithm exploits that. It doesn't want your reflection, it wants your reflex. It doesn't wait for your consent, it predicts your behavior. Every piece of content it serves is designed to slide easily into your bias. Confirmation, familiarity, comfort. You're not learning, you're looping. And the loop is seductive. You feel discomfort, so you reach for your phone. The feed offers instant relief, a relatable video, a wise quote, a therapeutic meme. But that relief is your cage. You don't process, you postpone. You don't feel, you escape. And that escape becomes your ritual. I didn't notice at first. My decisions felt normal, quick, easy, harmless. But that was the trap. I wasn't choosing from clarity. I was reacting from exhaustion. The algorithm thrives on mental fatigue because tired minds don't challenge, they comply. And compliance looks a lot like peace when you're too numb to notice the difference. Here's your pattern breaker. When you feel the pull to check your feed, pause for 30 seconds. Name what you're avoiding. Is it boredom, shame, loneliness? That name is your first key. Because once you can name the impulse, you can decide if it's truly yours. What you call your will might just be a well-disguised command. The algorithm doesn't manipulate your logic. It manipulates your wounds. It doesn't speak to your goals. It speaks to your shadows, to the rejected parts, the unseen child, the unvalidated rebel, the hidden rage, the quiet shame. It detects which part of you is most active and feeds it, not to heal it, to keep it hungry. Carl Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Today, your fate is being shaped by feeds that know which archetype you're acting from. Not only does the algorithm trigger your inner characters, it validates them. It gives them a stage, a spotlight, a script, until you think you are that part. You scroll and suddenly the angry voice takes over. You comment from the victim, you repost from the savior. You debate as the skeptic. None of it is random. Your feed is a mirror, but a distorted one. It doesn't reflect your truth. It reflects your fragmentation. I lived this split. One day I was the seeker, the next, the cynic, then the teacher, the performer. each roll reacting to a digital cue. And when the screen went black, all I felt was fatigue. Not of body, but of soul. Because you can't feel whole when you're living in pieces. My practice now is simple. Before I react, I ask, who in me is speaking? If it's a part of me that needs to be seen, I hold it. If it's a part that wants to control, I slow it down. Because the moment I see who's driving, I can finally take back the wheel. The algorithm doesn't fear your intelligence, it fears your integration. The algorithm's greatest weapon isn't control, it's illusion. The illusion of choice. The illusion of freedom. The illusion of progress. You feel informed, inspired, activated. But underneath, your nervous system is flooded, your attention scattered, your sense of self diluted into content streams. This is not evolution. It's sedation wrapped in stimulation. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that what you repeatedly think, you magnetize. But when your thoughts are fed to you, curated, recycled, and optimized for engagement, you're not magnetizing anything. You're absorbing noise. You're looping patterns. And the more free you feel, the more trapped you become. Because you confuse movement with growth, consumption with clarity, content with connection. Gabor Mate warned us, addiction isn't about pleasure, it's about pain. And what better addiction than one that gives you just enough to feel almost whole, but never enough to truly rest? That's how the void grows, masked by novelty, fed by algorithms, and disguised as self-discovery. I mistook scrolling for insight. I called binge-watching research. I labeled distraction as engagement. But when I paused, truly paused, I found only silence. And in that silence came grief. Not over what I saw, but over what I hadn't felt in years. My own presence, my own thoughts, my own unfiltered truth. Here's your challenge. Go one full day without consuming anything that wasn't born inside you. No videos, no quotes, no guidance. Just you and what rises. If discomfort appears, don't resist it. Welcome it. That's not weakness. It's detox. Freedom isn't the power to choose between options. It's remembering who you are without any of them. Reconstruction doesn't begin with clarity. It begins with collapse. With the moment you stop pretending that coping is the same as healing. That another productivity system, another mindset shift, another video will finally fix what's been bleeding inside you for years. When that illusion breaks, what remains is not brokenness, it's space. Real transformation isn't loud. It doesn't come with affirmations or achievement. It starts in stillness, in refusing to keep feeding the cycle. Jordan Peterson speaks of finding order within chaos. But what if the chaos is your curated calm? What if your carefully built identity is just another mask handed to you by the feed? My first act of rebellion was brutally simple. A full day of input silence. No podcasts, no articles, no reels, no teachings, just me. At first it felt like withdrawal, restlessness, a buzzing emptiness under the skin. But then, clarity. Not comfort, not peace, just presence. Raw, undecorated, undeniable. Now, I return to that ritual every week. I set a boundary around my awareness and say, nothing enters unless I invite it. I write one sentence. What have I been avoiding by staying busy? I don't look for answers. I just sit in the question. That's the reconstruction. Not control, but capacity. Not dominance, but depth. You can do this. Create a sacred pause, an hour, a half day, a ritual where your mind is yours again. Feel the discomfort. Let it speak. It's not your enemy. It's the voice that was drowned out by the scroll. You don't need a new system. You need space for what's already inside you to return. This isn't the end of a video. It's the beginning of a revolt. Not a public one, a private one. The kind that doesn't need to be posted. The kind that lives in your next choice. The next time your hand reaches for the feed, and you pause. That's the fracture, that's where freedom leaks in. Imagine a room. No noise, no light. Just you and a dim outline of a screen glowing in the corner. You approach it, not to consume, but to confront. Every post, every suggestion, every prediction, it fades. And behind it, you see yourself. Not the version shaped by algorithms, but the one that waited in silence. The one that remembers. Viktor Frankl said we are free the moment we choose how to respond. But most of your responses haven't been choices, they've been reflexes. You've been nudged, until you believed the path was yours. But now you see the lines. You see the programming. And that means you can begin again. You thought you were just scrolling, but you were being shaped. Quietly, each click taught the system who you should become. And you learned. You learned to feel on command, to want what was designed, to react with precision. This class is a rupture, not against tech, but against the part of you that surrendered to it. To exit the loop, you don't just log off. You unwrite the part of yourself that was programmed to obey. Your final act today is not dramatic. It's quiet. Turn off the noise. Sit for 7 minutes. No input, no scrolling, just presence. Let your nervous system feel what's underneath the simulation. If discomfort rises, welcome it. It's not resistance, it's remembrance. Comment below. My mind is not for sale. Share this with someone who's forgotten the sound of their own thoughts. And if you're ready to reclaim your silence, subscribe now. The algorithm predicted your next move. But it didn't expect your stillness.